Right. Hi, everyone. This is Daisy here. I'm just here to provide some information to the tech community, the cybersecurity community, developer community, designer community, etc. That is mainly comprised of Black and Brown people, right? So I'm speaking to those specific communities, those ERG groups, those nonprofits, etc. I just wanted to come and talk about what's currently going on in the tech industry, and then I'm going to be doing a demo of a few coding languages that are out now that you guys can go ahead and access. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going to end up happening next with meeting in person, people getting their IDEs edited, getting onto different servers, getting onto a brand new DHCP server with new protocol, new RF packet, syntax, all of that, etc. Because what's essentially happened in tech is something so chaotic, right? That it's given us the ability now to identify new tools and systems to move the internet, your accounts, etc., to a whole completely different electromagnetic frequency system, right? That doesn't require spectrum bands, that doesn't require satellites, things such as that. Now, some of you guys are wondering, like, why you're just now hearing about this. It's because people have been putting a bunch of money into trying to hide it. Now, these are some of the things that have been going on in tech. I'm going to talk about this. I did a video yesterday, brought some information for it, but I just wanted, folks to get this in a quick snippet so that you can have time to go through some of these documents and have time to ponder more about more on the coding language. So the first thing is you guys can go to my website called newchemistry.com. I'm going to just pull that up right here. So you're going on my website, you guys can go and see like different books that we've written, projects that we put out, etc. Now you guys can go to New Internet, and I explain a little bit about what's like going on here. Right? So you guys can go look into that, find some information that's very interesting. But for the most part, there have been a few things that have been going on in the tech industry that people are just gonna now learn about. I also want to bring you to this layoffs.fyi, which is a website that was created, right, to show about the different companies and mass layoffs because of the ways in which the tech industry imploded, because of the ways in which several white families got together to disenfranchise the Black and Brown developer community, to disenfranchise the digital community, digital economy, sellers, creatives, etc., through stealing music, stealing projects, hacking and tapping, and then the disrespect of children and innocent people by trafficking these individuals for what they call cleanup, aka a manifesto that they're passing around wherein they believe Black and Brown people need to be exterminated, raped, tortured, murdered because they stole spiritual powers from whites. And the way in which they're getting people involved in this, incentivizing it, right, which you're going to see reflected in the different companies, like, okay, the big companies are getting hit, right? The way in which you're going to see this is in the way in which several people have gone missing in every metropolitan city, right? But also to the way in which several individuals were trying to pass off different AI projects that kept on breaking that and they wouldn't work because they thought that by getting into illicit acts, they can get different coding libraries that they can activate, right? So we have like pandas, right? We have NumPy, we have JavaScript, these different languages. They want to get their own library within those languages or their own language completely, which I'm going to show you. I have a syntax that I put out for 4 languages, and they hacked my computer, tried to activate the syntax. It didn't work. My hand has to activate it. Just keep on listening. I'm going to teach you exactly how this is going to work for a lot of people in tech to move over to this end and then implement this into their existing code, right? So now you guys see all the companies falling off. Now, one of the things here is that they put lists of different people that got fired, but some of the companies put lists of people that were involved. Okay, so new chemistry, you can go see my website here. But one of the things that I want to talk about is this illicit plot and plan that people are going to be finding about in the tech industry. And again, I'm going a little bit fast here because I know a lot of you guys are on the run. You're working, you're developers, you're in meetings, you're going back and forth, you're trying to find out your next move, you're hustling, you're handling business. I just wanted to show you guys quickly what they did, how to find more information, and then how to get involved, right? So in 2019, but really 2007, they made a plot and plan for AI, things like that. The thing with AI, it depends on the terminal that you're using And then also it depends on the algorithm for the natural language processor. So what people are coming to find out is that AI being able to execute and do this and do that is actually stripping the copper grid and destroying the electrical grid because the algorithms are very intensive, right? So there's something called a data decider where you can upload your algorithm and see how much energy or memory it's going to take up. Now, one of the things that's come out here is that AI is everyone else's work. So we have Sam Altman, OpenAI. He used to be the CEO of YC Combinator, right? How are they getting access to all the different projects that they were building? It's all the black and brown developers, a lot of their work. So the creation of AI to disenfranchise people, oh, we'll have a drag and drop system and the computer can do this. Psych. Then we have generative AI, which everyone is talking about now. Economic collapse. They planned this by going into the master database that's at CERN. So the HTTP protocol was created by a white man, and this white male that works at CERN, they have something there called a particle accelerator. They do different experiments, things like that. So they have there's specific groups of families that have access to the entire internet through this HTTP. Find out about documents. They can do all these different things. Now, one of the things that has happened is different fights over the years with different presidencies, wherein the HTTP protocol was copied. There was servers that were tapped, electrical grids that were given bad copper, all kinds of stuff, right? So there's like at least four different families that have access to that, four different groups of people that have access to this HTTP server. Now, one of the things with this HTTP server and then getting in everyone's business, stealing everyone's work, getting into everyone's crypto, bank account, Cash App, Venmo, moving things around, then deleting the transaction on the front end. That's what they were doing and created tent cities and people that they can have access to for this manifesto that they call cleanup, where they're supposed to be exterminating black and brown children. So in the state of California, now you have something with the foster family agencies where they're not going to be able to serve foster youth anymore because they got caught trafficking all the kids and all the court cases and lawsuits. They lost their insurance. And this is coming out as we are discussing all of this, and they're trying to make it seem like that's not what happened. Okay, we didn't drain a bunch of state budgets and then create crypto and disenfranchise everyone else so that we can buy warehouses and move your kids around and play with magic and clinical trial testing, which is going to come up heavy for biotech. Don't worry, I see you guys too, pharma, biotech people, right? And cultural havoc, stalking people, harassing people, then playing with the virtual reality technology. So this virtual reality technology, one of the things with this is that it can feed sound into your ear. It monitors your brainwaves and then compares your brainwaves to a set of other brainwaves. Like, oh, think about an apple. Apple. Okay, that's a brainwave for Apple, right? So different things such as that. So now, yeah, one of the things that's happening here is it's all coming out how this all got started, and then the cultural backfire that it's creating because Drake plays with some of these dishonorable whites like Rob Stone from The Fader and other white executives in the music industry to play with people's money, one up people, have other rappers murdered, etc. He got this technology and uploaded myself, Kendrick Lamar, and a few other people, and that's how this got started with They Not Like Us. But the thing is, I talked about it 4 years before it happened. So a lot of people are scattering now because they're finding out how much is actually happening in the tech industry and what are you doing with virtual reality, spying on people, building cases and charges, harassing people, monitoring families at shelters, their movements, kids. That's what they were doing. That's what they got caught doing. And that's why the tech industry imploded. But now guess what? We have new systems, right? So one of the things that I want to show you, I'm going to do a demo is I have made some of you guys are waiting for these programs to come out. I've made the file to change your IP, change your MAC address. Somebody tries to go and get onto it. One of the things that I just finished mastering is how to change your, add a file, add an extension to your computer that will run as a program. And that program is constantly running, right, a script or a tensor space to block out hacking. So the way that this would work is, how would this tensor space work? Anybody can do this, not just anybody, because you have to activate the chemistry. Aha. So now something's coming up. Oh, a space system for chemistry on the computer. Yes. Not just playing with C++ where I can have modulations, because you can do C++, right? There's something with C++ that you can do algorithms for managing your CPU, managing the influx of energy into the CPU, and then also how that CPU energy or electricity is then tied to clock time and the rotations per minute, right, of your hard drive, things like that. There's algorithms like that. That's not what this is. So I can go ahead and I can code a chemical onto here, but I really want to play more with crystals. So one of the things that we can do too is I can code down a crystal in this format. They've tried it for years. The only thing they can do is model. But to activate the properties of the crystal itself, that's completely unheard of. That's what we can do, right? So then how is that possible? Where did I get this from? I studied the works of Benjamin Banneker. You guys know who he is. I just have to bring this up again because remember, a lot of people try to tell me, "Oh, you're crazy," and this and that, until they realize, "Oh yeah, black people, astrologers. Oh yeah, fuck, we forgot about that." Right, right, right. Because a lot of this is actually just astronomy and learning how to work with floating points, right, and then learning how to work with the EMF as it's flowing through. That's physics. It's just particle physics. Right. So Benjamin Banneker, right, White House Historical Association, he built DC. This is an old map of DC. Some of you guys know how DC is. Okay, that's who built all these roads like that. Right. Right. DC, he said that he saw it in his dream state and then he built it out. Right. So then, right, that's so interesting, right? Because after talks of dreams, and I have a dream, and hey, I had a dream and I saw you in my dream, right? And now we're here for those of you guys that know about my story and how this all came about with me getting stalked by several white supremacists, mainly Gavin Newsom, the Jewish Legislative Caucus, and other off-brand white supremacist groups who were like, how can a nigger be that smart, right? Causing hella drama. Benjamin Banneker also created the first clock, right? Rotations per minute. How did he have that time? How did he time that? And it's still on. It's still accurate. Right. Benjamin Banneker also built the first almanac, which is where I got a lot of my like knowledge from. Almanac, learning about the timing of the planets, learning about plants, what they grow under, etc. That's magic from space. This right here is actually like illegal. The high priestess has it, but they allowed him to bring this to the planet. Benjamin Banneker did a lot for the planet, for a lot for Black people, and then also Harriet Tubman, and being able to track and understand your location and your position under thousands of stars in relation to east, north, south, and west, and changing time, right? Right. So this is where I learned these systems from. That's where I got this from. Something very disastrous happened with this, and it was a bunch of white families that were harassing me because I exposed somebody. And then I was actually taking different trips for self care to DC, to like Florida, Miami. I love the peacocks out there to like, just get rest and travel. And what is my life going to be after this case? And I was going to their plantations and visiting them, and I was recording it. A lot of people remember that from my channel, and we were downloading there, having fun, doing readings, things like that, talking about different things. That's how this got started. That's why a lot of people are mad that this has come out, that because they got caught. You effectively got your hand caught in the trafficking of thousands of children and innocent people, right? So now that's what they were doing, incentivizing people as well. If you kidnap these many kids from after school program in this city, in this state, you can get a coding language, or you'll get these secret macros, or we'll invite you to a meet and greet with Elon Musk. That's what they were doing. And now come to find out that, oh, this is what they were actually trying to give people then. It's a system that's run by Black and brown people. Right. So now here comes another thing that we can play with. Yeah, I can go ahead and let's say, for instance, because remember, electromagnetic frequency is also picking up planetary frequencies. I can go ahead and start coding down planets, right? So even without this tensor space, I can go ahead and I can create like a file, right? That's going to parse certain equations as an algorithm. So here I can actually have an algorithm, right, to convert Neptune multiplied by Pluto, right, into your CPU. Okay, great. And then how would I do that? Yeah, I would use this. It's something called Julia. It's like a programming language, but yeah, Unicode input. You would use this to activate different equations. So that's how they've been doing tensor spaces, right? So if I say I want to send pounds and you use this, it says, okay, this is the symbol for it. You're putting this symbol times the multiplication. That means you're doing that, right? So that's another thing that I can do. And then I can bring down that frequency here. Or another thing that I can do is I can create a executable BCD file, BCD format. So executable means that it's processing in the code, right? So now it's done, you guys. So now you guys can get your files and get everything ready. That's what I'm saying. It's done. Now we can get together in the community and it's done, right? So now what's happening here, executable BCD, it's another system that we can use. This is just tarot, right? Wait, how? Right, but this is a system in space. So tarot is an indigenous system. So a lot of you guys don't know it. It came from ancient Kemet. So when you're talking about tarot, it's also missing several cards. Okay. So some of you guys don't know that the major arcana, you put two arcana together, you get another arcana. You put two of the minor arcana together, you get another arcana. So let's say, for instance, in this tensor space, I wanted to have the Ten of Swords so that anybody that tried to tap my computer, hack my MAC address, upload it to different technology, right? Right, because that's the identifier, right, on a specific network. I can take this, convert it to BCD format, or I can create this in chemical format. How would you create this in chemical format, right? Just being a high priestess and minding my business, I was able to get access to these systems. Thank you, Auntie Harry, and thank you, Uncle Benjamin Banneker, who've been watching you guys act the fucking fool. Right. So tarot and planet correspondences, right? It's a wheel, but this is also inaccurate. It tells you like the different planets that the cards are associated with, and then I can bring down its chemical frequency here, right? So then, if I wanted to go ahead and build out the chemical, I could say yttrium, yttrium bicarbonate, which I don't know why, right? You would do that, right? So I would be able to go here, type up a chemical. This yttrium, wow, it will Swiss cheese your CPU so quickly. That's straight breaking your computer. It's gonna destroy it so badly that it doesn't matter if you try to reboot your computer, reflash the computer with the master boot record, it will be done for. So I can go and make this as a tensor space too, right? And how would I do that? It's a way that we can activate tensor spaces, which people can't. It's something that we can put in here. Certain correspondences to the chemical we can put here in floating point format, right? And then I will be able to bring this yttrium. And then how will this work on the internet? As this is streaming, this file is like running on your desktop. It's actually projecting a matrix, right? So there's a matrix then running on your computer. So let me show you a tensor matrix. Okay, so this is the new cybersecurity. It's very chemical based. That is a matrix. It will pop up and open this matrix on your computer. So your CPU will have something like this sitting on it, or depending on how many like rows we have in here, or how many tensor spaces I put, I can overpower your entire CPU. But that's also Odinani. This system. It belongs to. It's a system for physics. This is one of the systems that we have that they've been trying to hide, and they're running back and forth and playing with people's kids. And well, if I feed this child this semen, and then I do this, and then I take their fingernails, and then I try that with that kid, then I can get this spiritual power and that spiritual power. That's what they were doing with people's kids. That's what they've been doing. That's why all these white men, they think that they're so smug, and Donald Trump this and that. That's what they've been doing, and it's done because they got caught. So now all their crypto, all that stuff, a lot of that doesn't even matter because all the different regulations that were put in forth, and something that Donald Trump and them are not going to be able to unravel without exposing themselves. And then when they get put out of office again, which can happen within the next few months with everything going on to less than a year, they are going to end up getting caught up with the justice system again, right? So that's what I'm saying. Donald Trump is really the least of our problem. Please focus, right? So he doesn't want you to know that this is happening. Right. Yeah, Donald, because he wants to make America great again, because he's promised, Daisy, I won't play with you at all. Just don't fuck with me. Yeah, because playing in virtual reality, all the white supremacists uploaded me. Right. It sounds hella crazy. It is. Right. So what's even crazier is this. Right. So now we have all of this that we can do on the computer, and we've fixed this stuff up, and we've brought down floating points, and we brought down math. Right. Now, some of you guys are like, okay, but what can't they just take your code and copy it and do this? Even if I wanted to do this right here with the chemistry, I would actually have to put something called the Arglan clone right here. So that's like a master language. And this Arglan clone, I'm happy to be able to speak this, and I'm happy to be able to have developed the specific anatomy that's aquatic and elemental, and several other forces and factors to be able to write this language. So that's another thing too. Some of you guys are like, you need an extra anatomy. You don't even know that you already have it. And now something's coming up with food, chemicals in the sky and water, trying to turn off that anatomy. It does not work like that at all. right? So if I wanted to activate this, right, we have the C++. I would just go right here and activate the arc clone. It's, and I'm gonna say it's Daisy. It's me, Daisy. Our Dursry, right? So I can just say, hey, it's me. It's Daisy. So now what's happening here is we've now seen. Okay, so we're moving forward now. That's the only way this can get activated. So now that's another thing too, how to get in people's computer, cutting off the hands of black and brown people. Okay, well, if I have this hand and I put it in this liquid and it's running a tensor space or it's being heated, then it's activated and then maybe I can code. That's what they were doing because they don't have anything in tech. Now, one of the things that we can do too is SQL, right? So let's say, for instance, like one of the things you can do is you can put a partition of your Mac device and then add a new master boot record, which would allow you to run different operating systems that operate in different planets in space. So I can bring forth really some type of code, an SQL database, and floating points, and then I can go and play in Neptune, and I can go and see what's going on in Neptune today. Communicate with the beings that are there's nobody living there, but it's a Neptune that's in a different solar system within this universe, right? So that's like the thing too. There's nobody living on those planets like around our solar system. They like live more out because this solar system with this planet is a false reality. Okay. So when you leave this planet, you go back into your indigenous body, you go back to space, right? So now the thing here is another level of chaos that got started with the virtual reality because people are finding out what happened to certain people that passed away, which is where I'm going to bring you to my channel and what recently happened with several levels of murders that have been going on because of what came out in that virtual reality. And again, Drake getting blasted by Kendrick Lamar and how King Von, Pop Smoke, or Nipsey Hussle passed away and all that coming out because of that virtual reality. And then their voices coming out, which is very extreme. But hey, it's just space. That's how we communicate. I can be way over here on a different planet. I can still talk to you. In space, it's more complex. They have different chemistries that they put up. So I can take a tensor space of carbon, carbon like number 20, which is the most superior carbon. We go up to carbon number 6 on this planet, right? The most superior carbon. I can get carbon number 20, then I can program it with any type of code for a screen. So I can in space they don't do that. They would really do something like this. Instead of like something like this, like a C++ script to create like a screen or create an input output screen, it would be something like this. You create the tensor and then you would add specific indigenous script like Zerdo Device, and then you would add different like levels of code. This is like security protocol. Like that's the first thing that they do, security, so that the substance doesn't get taken over by another substance, right? The substance of the screen, which is going to come up to the substance of the CPU. Yeah, the valence structure, all that getting closed. And that's another opportunity for black and brown people. Oh, you need to open up your CPU because it's not able to run programs or carry memory and you're having CPU or disk thrashing. Okay, well, I can open the valence for your copper. So this is one of the things that they haven't told you that they started. And this is all coming out, and it's now time for the community to get together and like learn about different things. Like, okay, you learn the system, and then you go on, and then you do what you need to do, right? And that's what they've been trying to like play with because it belongs to Black and Brown Indigenous people. So now here we go. Like, oh, people have been talking about this for years. No, they have not. Oh, okay, yeah. So now here we go, right? We can do all these different things, right? Thank you. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So the tensor space, we can go ahead and run that multiple times. I can have this tensor, then I can have another tensor running something else. I can have another tensor running a specific type of like inversion of copper. Let's pull up the periodic table. Yeah, I can have a tensor space of a noble gas. But now some of you guys are like, okay, but how can your computer carry all that memory? That's one of the systems that we have. It's called Quaddle. Right? So we're looking at systems here. Quaddle is like one of the systems that we also have access to, and it's for macroprocessors, FPU and CPU. You can create a script and like reorganize your entire like memory organization. So all of your registers then end up like extending in their capacity, what they can do, their function. Because you know that some registers are only supposed to do certain things, and then you can go on like that, right? So now that this I've done in front of you guys, right, on my computer. playing with ASM, assembly language. And then we can move floating points, right, into the floating point registry, because you guys know that floating points, they handle like precision format, multi-threading, basically like how the brain of your computer, floating points, they manage that. So what I can do, right, because I know about the planets, is I can go and look at like some NASA data. Just look at the different planets, look at the different asteroids, all of that type of good stuff. And then I can go ahead and I'll be able to utilize floating points from these different planets, right? So now I have the floating point of Jupiter times Mercury running on my computer. And that means that I have certain information that I can access. That's a certain type of OS. Let's say, for instance, I'm Department of Defense and I want to like create a certain type of technology where I can like blast this into the grid for a specific area, and then everyone in that specific area is going to have a grid on them that's going to basically like debilitate their ability to walk, to see, things like that. You can do that with this from space, but it belongs to indigenous people. So this is the fight that you guys are not finding out about. So this is what they've been doing the whole time, playing like that. Okay, so they think that they have Arduino, they think that they have NumPy, they think they have all that. A lot of those languages are being deactivated behind the scenes, and they're deactivating the what do you call it? The uh command or function itself. You have to get it from somebody else. So these are the things that are coming out now. But with our system, we don't even have to worry about that because we have free memory. We can do as much as we want. So I can go ahead and I can add an ASM file. Let me just pull up an ASM file that I have on my computer. I can go ahead and pull up an ASM file. And then with this ASM file, I can go ahead and I can rewrite your memory so you can do more with less. So no more chips and PCI slots and all this and all that and all this and all that, right? And then the way in which your CPU is even partitioned, that I can also do with assembly language within existing like blocks of memory. But to change your whole memory organization as a whole, that's where we get into what we're doing now with the GPT table and master boot record. So all these things now are here for us to be able to get involved in and start switching up our devices and moving forward and getting other people on this train. Now, the another thing that we're going to start doing too is the free energy, right? So this is what I'm actually really moving towards. Like, so you guys go learn this code and all this other stuff, and there's a bunch of ideas and things that I can't even fathom, right? That you're supposed to be doing. People have ideas for plants and water cleaning and farms and all this other stuff. And then we have a bunch of these disgusting white families playing games here. And then another big thing that came out about these white families that a lot of you guys need to pay attention to what I'm going to say. It's very serious. A lot of these white families, they practice incest with each other. They call it early love, more love, and extra love. Look, oh, I'm 12 years old having sex with my dad. It's just called early love. Oh, I have a boyfriend, but I'm having sex with my brother. It's just extra love. Like, oh, my mom and my dad are in the bedroom with me, and my sister's here too, and my brother's here too. It's more love. They're disgusting. And because they get sick from practicing incest, they were on a mad dash to play with everyone's farms and start this nonsense. So now you guys are seeing what's been going on and what's been happening the whole entire time in biotech too with rare diseases. It's no such there. There's rare diseases, of course, outside of those type of illicit acts within your family. So let's just put that out there. But then again, how much of that is because chemicals sneaking into the supply? Certain things happening with the food supply, certain things happening because of a particle accelerator on the planet damaging the EMF fields of plants, and then those plants then carrying that damage or debilitation in their phytochemical, right? So one of the things you guys need to understand is that these families have plots and plans like, oh, get next to this guy at work and then try to like have sex with him, stuff like that. Because, oh, you get sick and then look, he won't date any other female. That's what they do. They think it's a superpower to make people sick. Like, oh, I was having sex with you. You were having sex with your family. That can make me sick though. Okay, but I understand sex a little bit better and who you should be spending time with, but why would you do that, right? Right, right. So here we get with a lot of people finding out too, like, oh, you were dating my daughter, so you can punish her because I didn't hire your group and they didn't come in and destroy my company. So now my daughter's married to this man, and he's taking my grandson and my granddaughters to these different sex parties and things like that where they're getting put on drugs. That's the big thing coming out right now. That's what they started. That's effectively what they did. That's effectively what they started. That's effectively what they're doing. They're delusional. A lot of them claim to be Jewish and this and this and that. They're not. They're really Austrian, German, Polish, etc. They were playing games with Hitler. Their families all got exposed because they were the scientists playing like that, right? So now one of the things that's coming out here too is information that's been given to me. I had sit downs with some very high level people about what they were doing. They didn't know that I have all this information. There was so much that had gone on, even a kidnapping attempt, several attempts made upon me, sneaking into my apartment with human meat, chemicals in my food and my medicine, putting devices in the wall of my apartment, setting my apartment up before I even moved there with nonsense and stuff in the lead and all that type of stuff in the paint, just chaos over this whole coding system because this is going to be the next thing for tech, and it's black and brown people running it, and that's what they get for what they did, which is so disgusting and delusional on the computer. They're so fucking ridiculous. Excuse my language. What they did is really out of control, and it showed up in the media, and that's why they're mad too. Right. So then some of you guys are dating these people at work and you didn't even know that. Oh, so that's why you're dating me so that you can make me sick, or you're only dating me so you can get next to my family because we're black and brown people and we have access to like farms and stuff like that. That's what they did, and they dismantled all of tech. A lot of people, they have a job or two jobs. All their money goes into helping their family overseas. Whites played in that and dismantled a lot of people's families, causing drama, right? So, anyways, these are some of the tools that we can create here. The plant one I've already used, and I want to show you guys that. So, free energy creation system with a specific operating system, we can put up a grid, right? A coordinate system. We can have an SQL database of different coordinate systems throughout the planet. We can activate the floating points of those coordinates, right? So it's all about floating points. So it's all about astrology at the end of the day, astronomy, playing in the stars, right? So floating points, latitude, longitude, we can go ahead and take those and activate them with the specific file. So then whatever I put into the computer will be executable to that grid or to that latitude or longitude. Whoa, right. So what did they think that they were going to start with this? Oh, to upload everyone to virtual reality so you can play with child pornography. That's another thing that they wanted to play with my work with too, so they can play with child pornography. That was the biggest thing, to have databases and also internet that no one can tap, right? So they can play with child pornography. This is what they've been dying for. They stripped the electrical grid clean by running tensor spaces and debilitating the electrical grid because of all the pulsations that were going into their computer to run several thousands of scripts that have several thousands of scripts that then have several thousands of scripts within them with loops and conditional statements to block hacking or to block the mechanism of different internet protocols, right? So the way that that would work is, let's say, for instance, like I want to connect, I want to send a file, like connect to a server. Here, so I have code. I want to connect to a server. Yeah, right. So one of the things that right, I have code. I want to connect to a server, right? So here would be the code for that. One of the things that they were doing was having files parsed out to the address, the IP address or the MAC address. So then when somebody at the FBI or Department of Justice is trying to run that MAC address to see what device that is, or run the IP to see what MAC address it belongs to, or what internet service provider it belongs to, it won't show anything. It will show them an error message, or it will give them like GIFs or pictures, or it will show something like this, like the peeing boy. Some of you guys have seen this. It's like a little boy, like peeing. Yeah, this one, something like this. It will like show something like that, right? So now that stripped and destroyed the electrical grid, so they can play and hack all our computers and play games with illicit technology. Now we can run this tensor space, and there's nothing that can happen. No memory, right? Why? Because when I'm running this on my computer, I've already edited my computer to be able to except a floating point that edited my memory organization. So some of you guys are not finding out like, oh, so that's what's been going on in tech. But one of the things that's really funny is this that I'm going to show you. Right. So that's what they've been doing, right? Like so childish and so delusional and just so out of control. I'm so excited to come and teach and you guys like get on your projects, especially those of you guys with crypto projects. Okay, so okay, okay, right? Let's strike a deal. Let's just say it goes through, right? Hypothetically speaking, you guys want to work with me, I want to work with you. You can get some code, I can get some tokens, right? So right. So we can barter and do all those kind of things. Like there's like people that have I have a small market, but I'm using one of these cash registers, or I have a router here. I want you to come and get into my computer. These files right here, you can add them to your router. You can configure your router and you can add these files to your router easily, right? Or one of the things that I'm working on is like a Linux type interface, like a database where you just like can go on, log in, or I type in your number and then automatically it generates you all these different codes and puts you on our specific server so that you don't even have to worry about that. Like, oh, it changed my IP address, it changed my MAC address, everything in an instant. And guess what? It's not run by hackers then using that data against me or playing in my computer or my family or community. So the social justice community needs to get on this immediately. So now what's the difference between this and like other social justice, like hacktivist people? It's just that they don't have that tensor space, that code. They've been doing certain things like, oh, we can get a server space, or we can work with different local nonprofits that are going to run the server for the computer. Like, oh, you guys will be willing to like run a computer at your nonprofit so that we can run this like this node so that people don't get tapped, right? Exactly. So they found out that that's also a problem too, because there's ways in which they're getting information. Now, one of the things that I can go ahead and do is now let's talk about spectrum bands, internet. A spectrum band basically is like when you're an internet service provider, a spectrum band is something that you get from the satellite or the IXP because they're interconnected. And IXP is basically like an internet access point. So if you are like a Comcast or whatever, there's a physical location where you have like a server and net that pumps to your company so that you can distribute internet to your customers. We can do that with making like radio frequency files on the computer. So I can put in the chemical sequence in a tensor space for radio frequency because there is a chemical substance. There's a chemical it's like radiation. There's like different types of radiation. Not necessarily. Let me see. Yeah, because it's mainly alpha particles that they use. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can do that. Just something with like some type of nuclear energy. We don't really need that. I can go and get clean energy, right? I can just use a certain crystal and run the internet. And then this is like where it's going to be fun, like because what crystals can do that? People don't know that. That's locked and it belongs to the high priest, high priestess, right? Because if they knew that and they can do that, we would be running the internet off that and not like destroying the electrical grid or playing with electromagnetic frequencies that are destabilizing the planet, right? So this is one of the things that I'm about to go throw up on my computer. I'm gonna go do this the tensors files for the chemistry. I effectively changed my IP, my Mac. I know they're gonna be playing on my computer, but I'm waiting for them to come so I can throw this tensor space at them that's gonna swish cheese their CPU, and they're gonna keep on having to clean up, destroy their computer, or get a new computer. Or one of the things that we can do, right? Just environmentally sustainable is I can go ahead and throw a different chemical sequence, but it would like lock the third, fourth, and the third and fourth and second level of the copper valence. So it would look like something like this. Okay, we can invoke paramagnetism or diamagnetism. Is somebody listening that deadly? This is very deadly. Again, Some of you guys don't know, Department of Homeland Security, the director of chemical safety contacted me because he saw me do a tutorial here and he knows exactly what's going to happen next. So now one of the things here that we can also build is we can build a web browser that has that radio frequency packet of the crystal or other configurations, right? Because planets do in fact affect radio frequencies, electromagnetic particles, the twist and the turn of the particles, the decay of the particles, their ability to react with light, even make it into the planet ozone, all of that, right? So we can, who's to say that we can't build a web browser where you guys can go on and like, okay, it's the web browser is like ran on its own internet. I can put an internet on my computer, but this web browser has its own internet, period. And that internet's not tappable because it's from a crystal. What? Right, right, right. And then you have attached chemical sequences of ten of swords, right? So, right. So it's a lot going on, right? So I just wanted to kind of give you guys like some of this information so we can go ahead and do that. And also we can give you an electrical grid, like free energy curation. Like, okay, I have a floating point based on like the area that I live in. My specific address has a floating point, Google Maps. I can just copy and paste that here and then boom, I have internet. I have electricity. It just like goes to my house. That's something that we can do too. And they're going to be looking for this in a few weeks because of what they did with the electrical grid with child pornography and then Bitcoin and crypto, right? So superconductor. Some of them are looking for superconductors they can put in cars, things like that. There's a superconductor that this I can put in code. This I can put into code. That's what I'm saying here. I'm showing you these models, but they're supposed to be coded. Okay. So these things I can code. I can convert this into a code. Then you have a superconductor, right? So now one of the things that about these white families and then Elon Musk with his $1 million giveaway at these different rallies and playing with people's kids and getting new coding languages. And that's what's going on. And okay, so we have our own thing here. And let's just start from the beginning. We all were in these organizations, institutions, we pick sides, but now we have our own thing. Let's just stop the drama. That's what's going to end up happening in tech because everyone's going to rally up against these white families that started this nonsense. Baby, you really have no idea. Chemistry is so like tarnished right now. They really ran numbers, air conversion system. Just throw it to the grid. Then there's no more pollution, right? China. This started a war in China. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not China that's playing with me at all. China, that's been done. Korea, that's over. Xi Jinping, the president of China, somebody went to go call him to my channel because somebody hacked his computer and destabilized some of the last sense of security in China. These whites that play like that because they work together at Genentech and then he worked with this Asian man at Genentech, one of those white male stalkers looking at my computer. This man has a PhD in chemistry, or sorry, physics. He went to go hack his computer, and this is how this all got started. They have no respect. They really are just like very delusional. Okay, so now you're going to see a new round of something get started with Donald Trump, right? So all this week in code, like you can throw up these spirals and stuff like that in the sky. Yeah, and for some of you guys, you'll be able to see them if your eyesight is clear enough. Just let the chemicals leave the sky. Solar energy system upgrade to upgrade your solar system, your solar, if you play with solar energy, because certain things solar can't do. Okay. And then bring more into the particles that are, that you're capturing. It's like a photon effect. You can increase that and bring more clusters in, right? Per square unit. And you can even program this, like how many clusters can I take in? Like it's infinite. You could put portal functions here. And this is what this is representing, portal functions that you can bring in that will turn the glass here into like a spiral that has like portals all over it to bring in more of that energy and put that more into the electrical grid that you are hosting, right? And then again, you can then code this down. I can code this as a file, send it to the electrical grid. You see the binary, you see the chemical sequence right here. Yeah, the highest forces of titanium and gold emitted here, right? So these are things that we can do as well too. They're so ridiculous. Gold, we can edit. They scammed all the rappers. There's so much that they did. When we get together, I'm telling you guys, like it might have to be like 2 days where we get together and just like everything that they did in virtual reality and then breakout groups about like what happened with that. How can we solve that? Okay, 20 minutes on that. Okay, you guys, this is the next thing that they did. What the fuck? How can we strategize on that? You call this person, you call that person, let's move. I'm telling you, because they really caused a catastrophe. water cleaning system. After what happened in Mexico City, this is one of the reasons too why the Mexico Supreme Court got hemmed up like that, because somebody effectively ordered this and they went to go tell everybody and they got the water tested, because these people used to order these from me like, oh, subscription. And I just kept on giving it to their community. And that's how this got started. Texas too. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. Phew. I'm telling you. Yeah. So these are some of the things that I was doing, right? Just projecting, making files like this, and then sending it to their latitude, longitude, things like that, right? These are the platforms that we're going to be building. And now another thing here too is we need people to do the front end and all that type of good stuff, right? We need people to do all these type of good stuff, gathering information, filling up CSV files, all those type of things. One of the things that we can do too is, let's say, for instance, we get a wget request on the network. We can do something like this where we can snatch the entire website, the tree for your website or your platform, right? And then I can move it my to another file that's run on my server. You would never know that because the internet that I'm running is from this file, this tensor space. This is like, you guys have to understand that's exactly what they get playing like that though and starting that in our community. Now, this the thing though, this tensor space, even when I'm doing this, it's the equivalent. Like if I throw up one crystal, right? That's one crystal. I can use that a certain amount of times for things that I want to do. So even this file, I would have to redo this and again in like 30 days. Or I can even code the tensor space to expire in 30 days. Period. You can run this computer all day, every day for 30 days. And then after that 30 days, it gets turned off. Yeah, that's another thing people have been trying to build into subscriptions for software that they can't take out, right? And then you can configure your software, your code blocks in a way that if that's not in there, it won't work. Mhm. Because Arglonclone is hosting this on a server. And that's going to be the new IDE where we open up this Arglonclone. If this code is on anybody else's IDE or anybody else's project, it shatters the system. Some of you guys are going to start doing that. So we can do like a get command to basically like get files or something like that from a HTTP server or HTTPS server. So one of the things that I can do is I can do a get request, right? And then when I do that get request, some of you guys have seen me do that already. When we were playing on the internet. Ababaka, what? Let me open that. Mhm. And this is why I need people off my computer, right? So we're gonna keep on going. I'm happy though that we were able to do that. And then now you see, right? So something had to happen. So now I've set up the Fed. So if anybody is going to try to look into your computer or my computer, that's they have to go into Apple. I have something for you too with that one. So if there's something I could put a conditional, it doesn't really matter who you are. I have master permission here. If you're not this permission or this user, you're not able to access these files. Right. So even at the Apple server, if they try to bypass that, they're going to get a tensor space flowing, opening up into their server in the computer. Yeah. So port wars, we can go ahead and we create a socket or we're connecting with the socket and we want to pull files from a socket or send files to a socket. I can pull every single file on Coinbase and then put it in a text file. Because you guys know you can get and then output to then output to this file. Right? Then I can go on my computer. No one will ever know that I even did that because I'm running a tensor space that's a crystal and she's above EMF. That's like really basic. EMF is like child's play in space. Like you guys are running the internet off EMF. What? Why not use these crystals? Or look at this high priestess. She's from this specific federation. She can ask her aquatic being to do it. Because another thing that's coming out here that you guys are going to learn about on my website, you guys can find out more about this. It's how the protocols that are existing, they are ran by aquatic beings. These aquatic beings made copies of themselves, gave up their tendril, then put it on the SQL database for people to run different languages. That's how the internet works. It's from space. Right. It's a few banished federations, including her that want to go run and rip and play games. And they played with the internet, but the internet's very debilitated. So that's something that's like you I can't really talk too much about that. Really, honestly, that's just something that the Black community needs to have internal conversations. Like, when Michael Jackson changed color and things like that, those are not conversations we have in front of people, right? Like, so please. So the aquatic being, she is more for dermatology. Okay, and she has something too for OBGYN. Yeah, she's really not playing. This high priestess, wow. She ran through Apple. All of Apple is done for. I just wanted to report. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Crucial Junior, are you listening to me? High priestess, I'm listening. First, please change this nonsense. That's what they called it on the online. When you download it on the internet, that's what it's called. Right? Because playing with the aquatic beings. So, anyways, my photo once again. There's an update here. Yeah, that's how they talk. They're sending messages. Okay, I just wanted to let you know, hey, Apple is completely done for. We've destroyed that Apple file system. In a minute, Apple is going to have to change the language that they use to code their interface, and everyone's going to get a master boot record upgrade from a server. And I just wanted to say, if you guys are still going to be using Apple, this is the only way that you're going to be able to have a proper internet experience is if you put these files on your computer. They know about this. The thing is, they just can't take the code and replicate it because they're not going to be able to get into your computer. It's done, finally. So now we can continue with business. That was the biggest thing, privacy on the internet, privacy on our computers. So now some of you guys are like, okay, well, can you create a program? That's my next thing is to create a program where on your Android or your Apple where you can download it, right? Where it's just running this tensor space and running that all day. It's just running in the background, running in the background. Okay. Yeah, and that's it. That's it for tapping people's phone. That's it for playing games. That's it. You step 1 foot into my computer. No, not yet. That's it. Your CPU is Swiss cheese, and that's no such thing as master boot record. What you can do that with chemistry. That's what they've been trying to do for years, hacking all of it. That's the only reason why Department of Defense and all them they allow this on the internet with tensor spaces. It's called a tensor flow. Tensor flow. It's made by Google. Yeah, it's how to create these tensor spaces. Google made it. Wow, yeah, because they were getting hit up hella badly because they were playing on the internet. So now with the TensorFlow, now you guys see, okay, so this is the things that we can do. We can have different tensor spaces instead of all this code. We can put just a few things. The Odinani, that's something still that we have to discuss. There's 3 systems I cannot bring on the internet at all. We have to discuss in person. Yeah, it's just too serious, like what they can try and start, like with kids, just as a mad dash and like holding people hostage. Like, I know you can hear me, I'm raping this 4-year-old. That's what they were doing. That's how this got started with Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and all of us saw that nonsense. Meek, a 21 Savage, a little baby, Dirk, everybody in virtual reality. I've been talking about it for 4 years. Yes, and now you see it in the media. A couple days before Dirk got arrested, I was talking about it on my channel. I said, they're going to try this with Dirk. Look what happened. People's kids went missing. Look what got started. They were playing with the police, and then look what happened. So now we see that, right? Now we see, okay, this is one of the reasons why this got started in Mexico because they could have used this, but they were so busy stalking and harassing me. Like, oh, we can do this and we can sell this and we can sell that. Because remember, the first round of this was lawsuits, people hacking my phone, trying to have me kidnapped, harassing me, forming little gangs with Nina Harris, Lexi Butler, Idaline Bobe, other females in tech running their mouth, starting a bunch of nonsense. And then it imploded and backfired in their face because it was about this the whole entire time. And the fact that they got caught playing in our community and I saw something, right? So there's a chemical conversion system where basically it's like for this, your valence. Yeah. Woo. Valence of gold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, orbitals. Just expanding all those orbitals, even brand new orbitals. Wow. Done for. You can use this system, which I've done myself. I have some gold bullions that I'm gonna go ahead and let me pull this out here. Some gold that I made, and you can go ahead and that this system, you can use this to like enhance gold too. You will program the gold, and then it will go from like 14 karat to 24 karat. But you need this system. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are about to get hit. A lot of companies, semiconductor, that's done for. You need the system to open up the copper because of the ways in which Black and Brown indigenous people were slaughtered over metals. See, a lot of people are just not finding out about world history. Now I see what's going on. Right, herbs, pharmacy, yikes. You want to play with pharmacy? Great. So let's look into pharmacy. You want to play with any of these herbs? You have to activate their spiral valence, the phytochemical. You have to activate the valence of the phytochemical. Yeah, or it's not going to release the medicinal aspect. Some of people are wondering, right? You see how this has been working, but I've been using this for months and this and that. It's your higher self in space because you're a part of that federation. Some people are passing away. They're calling it drug recall. It's because they went to go play with these herbs and they're stealing people's farms and causing chaos. I'm telling you, everything is done for. These whites, they're trying to hide what they did. That's why they're like chasing me like this because they really shut everything down, playing with people's kids like that, molesting small children. Are you crazy? That's a war right there. I can see it right there. Just what stole everyone's cannabis in the black and brown community because they were selling fentanyl mixed with spice and synthetic cannabis. They weren't able to grow real cannabis. That's done for too. You guys are gonna watch it in the cannabis industry. Ease is shutting down. Some of you guys know this company. Ease, Purple Heart in Oakland shut down too. Have a Heart in Oakland shut down. Yeah, Ease is closing. That's done. They stole everyone's stuff, and the cannabis got deactivated. So for some of you guys that want to even activate the different sativa spectrums, you have to activate it in the akasha, the spiral valence, or you're going to keep on getting bammer. It's been your higher self doing it the whole time, where the high priestess saw that, like, oh, look at this high priest. He's a nice person. He went to college. He helped out. He did all that he could. He's helped our people before. He worked in criminal justice. We'll help him. We'll let him have these strains. We can even customize it. Look at this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look at Burner. How he made cookies. That's because they are not like these other men in the community. Some of you guys are not going to want to hear this, but Burner, look at cookies though. I just have to keep it real. He made his own strain of cannabis. How? How did one seed allow the other seed to communicate? How's that happening? His higher self did it. They did it in space, the high priestesses of plants, because they saw that he's not out here promoting nonsense, having women kidnapped for OnlyFans houses, setting people up to get murdered, playing games, running side shows or things like that, and then blaming other people. So they let him have cookies. Some of you guys, that's a direct example. Oh, space. A lot of the Indian African community, they're gonna know this, even China, because certain people, it's a fight right now. Only certain people's farm can grow certain things. That's where this whole pharmacy fight is coming from. Only certain people's farms, because all of you guys started all these atrocities, playing with this person and this nonsense and that nonsense. And so now we see that there's going to be a new way to flow here, right? So I just wanted to give you guys all that. For those of you guys that are just now finding out about this in different systems, there's webs on my website, New Chemistry. There's a tutorial that you guys can go look at there. But I want to work with you guys. Let's set up webinars. Let's set up trainings. I can travel. Let's set up all things where we just like have a hack day and we already have our code. So then that means that we can build our own. You need something I can build my own like Google Chrome or my own web browser, and they won't be able to track anything, not a single thing, once I get on that computer and start coding. And then I have to teach other high priestesses, right, who suffered, got attacked, and harassed about the system and high priests too, so they can go off and spread the word. Like, hey, Daisy, we're doing this today. Like, okay, great. You have your Akasha, right? So I don't want to hear from you again because you have your Akasha now, right? So I shouldn't be hearing from you, actually. Oh, okay. No, I should not be hearing from you, actually, effectively, because now you can work, right? So this is one that got started with this system that they're trying to hide. I'm telling you, these people are so delusional that having sex in your family and spreading it in virtual reality, and now these children will mate. They are brother and sister. They were kidnapped in the foster care system. This child was taken at 4. He's now 7. This is the sister. They do not know because we took both of those children. Now they are clonkling. Now they will be in, right, like in their group. That's what they were doing, kidnap black and brown children and saying that, oh, look, they practice incest too, and we're not alone, and then we can use their blood and do blood testing and see how we can make ourselves stronger. They put that in virtual reality. Like, again, this is why all the entertainers are fighting. Right. So some of you guys saw this on my channel. There's another video too. I'm going to just put this in the chat. And it's why all the entertainers are passing away. And literally, like, whoa, it was like 18 people in like 2 weeks. Yeah. People do not want to hear that in their ear at all. So I just pray and I just go to God. Really, I don't have time for it. So now one of the things that's coming up is like, oh, we're coding on the computer, right? And then like look at like the madness that's like happening right in front of us, and we're coding on the computer. And then look, all the different like internet protocols are like popping up as we're out and about, showing like, yeah, I'm right here, I'm right here, I'm right here. Here, let me show you this real quick. This only started like 3 weeks ago. Before that, it was nothing. And you can check my timeline too. Look at FQN, DEA. That was something with online drug trafficking that we cracked and got the CEO of Telegram put in jail. Because they play too much. GPT. Partition table. This I got like 12 times in my phone. EBX. Oh, one of the things too is I did a live tutorial, putting a specific floating point onto the 32-bit registers. EBX, a few others. The next day, we saw at least like 6 cars with EDX, and the different 32-point registers. I've been doing SIMD instructions, XMM, YMM, and ZMM. We've all seen all of those. XMM, YMM, ZMM. We've seen all of those. VPN, think it's a joke. It's not. This is not a joke what they started at all. The internet is done for. EXE, Microsoft File extension. Please excuse my nails. It's like something with chemistry that I'm like trying to figure out like how to mix two different formulas together so that my nails can dry, but then the varnish like stays because something's going on in chemistry and they wasted all the chemicals. And stop making those what that goo. You guys like slime and fudge and oh it's therapeutic. Stop making that. You guys are wasting like products. Anyways, they have NAS, network extender. I'm telling you, just too much drama. Master boot record. I got this like 8 times on my phone. I have several videos just sitting there and I'm talking on camera like this, and then cars are passing by one after another protocol. Because it's from space. They're showing you guys that they're here and they're going to edit the reality. I don't know what you guys should just stop starting stuff. I don't know. I'm an indigenous person, so I feel like it's important to stay tapped in. And then I'm communicating with my aquatic beings, right? And they're super smart, right? And then you guys are eating seafood, and then those fish are different colors. Hmm. So now this is my birthday, and it said AMD. You guys know what AMD is? Chips, right? So much drama, right? So much chaos. UDP protocol, my birthday on it. Just sending messages like we're here. It's done. Yeah, more EDX. People watching. Yeah. All right. So yeah, more EDX again. Another car. CXP, the copper connection system. So thank you guys so much. Right. I'm happy to be here supporting the Black and Brown tech community. I am going to attach like another video to this. It's just going to be a short overview of every single system. But I feel like I don't know. I think that this is okay. Like, why not just get in person and let's just start coding, right? You guys can put in your projects out, especially the IDE needs to be completely redone. So anybody that's built an IDE or you have code for an IDE, just be prepared. I'm going to show you how to put it off server, connect it to its own server. I'll code the server file, and then other people be able to use that same file, run their IDE, run their projects, do what they need to do. They're just, it's just, I'm sorry that this had to come out like this, right? So we're excited that we have new things, but it's unfortunate that this is how it had to come out with them playing like that. Anyways, you guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. Bye.